feel like everybody kind of has their thing or their interest or something that they were either forced into or something that they found and they just like started to enjoy. I know personally in my life, I was never really in that kind of thing. I never really had my own thing. Usually for the boy, generally, it's a little more common for your father to push you to do something, or for your father to get you into something rather. And my dad was never really like that. And over time, after my parents divorced, I started to live with my mom. And my mom was, after a divorce, she's scared to lose her kid. She doesn't want to force me to do anything. So for the longest time, I didn't really have a thing. And after a while of me just kind of doing nothing, my mom got to this realization where she's like, okay, I need to make my kid do something. So that summer, which was my 7th grade summer, I was put into Crocker House Musical Theater Art Camp. And some of you are looking at me like I'm crazy, but like I was not excited at all. And let me just tell you, it was probably the best experience I ever had. And that kind of pushed me along to discover that I really, really like music. And so today I'm going to be talking about my history a little bit with music, what I personally feel like I've learned in music, and what I feel like other people can learn with music and how it can affect your life and socially and stuff like that. So firstly, I want to talk about choir at Ponderosa High School. So my junior year, I got into concert choir, which is an audition choir, and the director of the choir at the time came and saw the musical that I was in, and I didn't have to audition. She said the musical was my audition. I was super excited. Had an amazing junior year in concert choir. We went to a lot of competitions, got first at every single one we went to. We had an award-winning director, Sarah Cunningham. And then my senior year, I was in concert choir, chamber choir, and a out-of-school vocal jazz a cappella ensemble, where we went to places as far as Reno, and we took 3rd place, which for second-year vocal jazz with a lot of first-year students was extremely unheard of for a high school. So that was extremely exciting. Next, I want to talk about Ponderosa Stage Productions, which is the drama department at Ponderosa High School. Throughout my 4 years at high school, I auditioned for 2 musicals, and I was the lead as Emmett Forrest in Legally Blonde, and I was one of the leads as Moonface Martin in Anything Goes. Both of them, I had an absolute blast, and I feel like I learned a lot about music and how it is to perform and push forward regardless of how the performance is going and things like that. And it really made me discover 2 very different musical outcomes. One being, choral, jazz, and then another one being musical theater, which is something that I was a little bit more comfortable with because of the camp I had gone to. Now, I'm gonna play a short piece of video from our competition in Reno for vocal jazz. And the first thing I want to talk about and things I've learned is breath control, and how important it is to have proper breath control when you are singing. So I'm going to pull this up really quick, and I'm going to skip to 3 minutes, and I don't even know if the sound's working on this computer. So you can't really hear it. Is there,
There's a volume button on there. It's the only round button on the control panel. Up and to the left.
This doesn't count for my time, right? At Reno, and if you watch us all, in between when we start singing and when we stop, you can physically see our bodies all come up together. So right now is a perfect example, and we all engage together because you all have to breathe together to make sure that you are all singing together, because if you're singing apart, so if one person starts and then a millisecond later the next person starts, it almost has like a stuttery sound. It sounds horrible. The next thing I want to talk about and what I've learned is how to be confident as a team. Now, this is probably the most important thing I've learned, and I've played football, I've played many other sports, basketball, soccer, and I don't think I've learned quite being in a team like I have in vocal jazz. So I'm going to play about 5 seconds of an old clip that we have. We sang Crazy, the song I know.
if you look at us, we're very stiff. We're not looking at each other. It's very just awkward. Our first time really singing at a competition, we were scared. And then we go to our new video where we're singing the same exact song, and as we get into when our soloist starts singing, we're dancing, we're all looking at each other, and if you notice, we all learned that, oh gosh, our teammate is having a solo right now. She's the one that needs to be heard. So we're all, have kind of toned it down. We kept our technique, we kept our breathing, we kept our little bit more trusting each other, looking around, seeing what we're gonna do. But we quieted down because we need to trust each other as a team, that we can all be quiet while the soloist is singing so that the soloist can get the spotlight that she deserves. So one of the last things I want to talk about is how I personally feel like music has changed me as a person. And this is something I find extremely important, and I feel like it's the reason that everybody should at least do something in music, whether it's a class here at FLC or if it's an extracurricular or anything like that. I've really learned to be open to other people, and that is, I don't really know how to say that, but I know before, having not really done much, I didn't really have a large array of people that I really, and this sounds bad, but like knew to accept, because I knew my life and I knew my dad and my mom and my sister and not much else. So I think that when you're in music, you meet all these different types of people. I mean, you meet people that have never done music, you meet people who have done music for their whole lives, you meet people who their parents do music and they don't really like it, but they're trying to get into it, and you meet all these different crowds of people. And opposed to not even meeting crowds of people, but I mentioned Jim right here, which is my mom's boyfriend at the time right now, and I can just tell you from personal experience, I have not always liked the people that my mom has brought home, and my mom's the best thing in the world, and she means the world to me, but, as a son, I don't normally even give them a chance. And this guy gave a chance, and I've never seen my mom so happy in her life, so I don't think without music, I don't think I ever would have got to that point of accepting him. And then the next thing I want to talk about is how it can make you more social. And I think music and performing, like I just showed you guys, has gotten me to this point where I'm not afraid to talk to a new person now. Or I've met so many groups of people that I'm okay if somebody's a little different than me, that I don't feel uncomfortable talking to them. And things like that. And I personally feel like it can help you make friends. It can help you just feel more comfortable overall, because like I was showing you guys, just being in a half circle of people with no music in the background singing into a microphone, there's nothing quite more vulnerable than that moment that you are there together. And it makes you really just look at people from a new perspective and say, like, there are times where we're all working towards the same goal and we're all there for each other, and that's how I kind of view the world, and I hope that I can have all you guys view it that way too. But overall, music is something that has been a huge part of my life. Today I've talked about my history in music, how I feel I have learned valuable life skills, and how I think that you can improve your social life and things like that through music. So if you guys haven't done anything in music yet, I highly suggest it. Thank you.